Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Hello.
Right, you had questions, so fire away. What is it that you wanted to ask?
Yes, so we were wanting to know more about management consultancy. We wanted to know how management consulting works and what a management consultant does.
Sure. Okay, so let me start off with what management consultancy is, and I'll give you a reference to the names that you already know in the industry. Most of the time, when the word management consultancy is mentioned, people often think of McKinsey's, BCG, Boston Consulting Group. So the kind of consultancy that these companies do is called commercial strategy, which essentially means they decide the direction of a company. So let's say you are Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, where should you be in 5 years' time? So in different regions with different products, perhaps different packaging, what sort of consumer group should you be targeting? What is the economy looking like in 5 years' time? Which way are the trends heading? And where do you fit in terms of your pricing, product? Lots of key KPIs, key performance indicators to take into account. And then they will give you options to say, we think in 5 years' time you should be doing this. This is where you should be as a company. Is that making sense?
Yes.
So that's purely commercial strategy, deciding the direction of your company. But that's not the only consulting in the world. There are lots of other types too. So besides commercial strategy, so let's say commercial strategy is decided, right? And then what's next? What do you do? So then you could bring in other consultancies to help you, for example, deliver particular IT systems. You want to go from manual processes, so papers, writing on papers, filling in paper forms, to nice, cool IT systems that do a lot of automation, do the work for you. So you could bring in particular consultancies just for that, right? So that's one type. But then there are lots of other things you could do. You could say, I want to expand as a company. And for that, you don't need a McKinsey. You don't need commercial strategy. You've already decided you want to expand. And you've said, right, I want to expand by acquiring other companies, which means you are now looking to buy other companies. And then you may say, right, when I buy a company, I wouldn't know how to integrate it, how to put the two together. So then I'm going to hire a consultancy. For example, you may hire PwC, KPMG, the Accentures, Capgeminis. They'll send in their management consultants, and then they will merge the companies for you. Or any type of change that a company wishes to do that they can't do themselves. Often a company wants to do two things. Any business in the world, they just want to do two things. First, they want to increase their revenues, make more money. Second, they want to reduce their cost, because by reducing costs, you automatically increase your profits. Now, these two things, how do you deliver them? You could do lots and lots of things. So let me give you an example. For cost reduction, you could say, I have 50,000 people working, all working on manual processes, which we haven't changed since 1980. I want to be in this world right now, cutting edge, cool technology, which means I want to deploy lots of IT systems. But I don't know which IT systems to deploy or even how to deploy them. So then you go and find these consultancies and say, first of all, tell me what to install, and then do it for me. Run the whole project, whereby you transition me from my 1980s estate to right now, where we are. So these consultancies would come in and they'll do the job for the business, and when they're done, they leave. Often the consultancies would work with the employees inside the business, because consultancies don't know how that business is run to detail, but they know how to do the change, as in they know how to deploy softwares or how to make a change happen. So they will work alongside the firm that's hired them, their employees, to deliver these changes. So there are many types, and they all have their expertise. They all specialize in something. Usually it's niche. And yeah, when a company expands, and most of these consultancies that you see started off quite small, when they expand, they start adding new services. Naturally, they would. Yeah. Any other questions
Okay.
on management consultancies?
I think like what's the usual like day for like a management consultant? So like
Good
what's
question.
the usual things you do during one of your like working days?
So let me start from the beginning. A client would hire me and say, I have a problem, but I don't know what the problem is. I know that there's a problem, but I don't know what it is. So come and figure it out for me. Or they might say, I know what the problem is. I don't know how to solve it. So come and solve it for me. So then I'll go in and usually you figure out, we call them pain points, as in where is the problem? How many problems are there? And then you define it. So you've got 5 different types of problems. Here they are on a scale. So you then go in and define pain. And then you say, here's your problem. And then you will use lots of frameworks which you pick up either through training or through experience as a management consultant. And you would say, you've got this problem, and this is how I'm simplifying it. The problem's quite complicated, but I'll simplify it for you. So I'll use this framework. And let me give you a reference to what you understand. So you're both doing business degrees, right?
Yes.
So you would use in marketing, I'm forgetting the names now. There's a quadrant that you have, right, for, what is it called? Hands-off matrix. Did you do that one? Where it shows you that you should be taking a product to a new market, whether it should be a new product to a new market.
Yeah,
No?
I believe we did it in our management class last year. Yeah.
Well, let me use a simpler model. SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Right? Quadrant.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So you would use something like that, like a framework, to say, here's your company's strengths, weaknesses. These are the opportunities that I see in the market that you have. These are the weaknesses with your company, or it could be just with one product, or it could be with one product line. Now, the reason we're using these frameworks is because we want to make the problem simpler for the client to understand, and also so that we can design solutions for it easily. Some things I think are quite difficult to explain in words until you do them in person. So if I could show you something and we did it together for about a day, you'd get exactly how it's done. But yeah, right now I suppose we're online, we can only do explaining. Yeah. But often we call it matrix structures rather than hierarchy. Hierarchy is when you've got one person above the other and everybody's in a rank. Usually in management consultancy, we don't play the rank card. We say we're all equal, we're all on one team. It doesn't matter what your job grade is, how senior or junior you are. Right now we're working on this project. For the next 6 months, we're all equal. Of course, you'll have a team leader, but nobody plays that card of seniority or, you're a fresh grad, you're a junior. Most of us don't do it. And that's why a lot of people enjoy working in this industry, because you could be fresh, new out of uni, but you're still given a level of respect. What else? What else have you got?
I was thinking, just out of curiosity, what's the average duration of a relationship with a client? So they come to you for help, and how long does it go on?
Yeah, it varies. Usually it's about 6 months to maybe 2 years, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're deploying, it depends on the size of the company and the problem they have. So if it's something as big as, I don't know, Coca-Cola, and they've got something large they want to do, I don't know, let's say they want to improve their processes throughout the company. Now they must have lots of centers in lots of regions in the world. And then we'll ask them, where do you want the change to begin first? And then you'll do it in phases. Do you want this change to be delivered in every region or just one particular country? If they say all the regions, then I'm going to have to bring in a huge team, first of all, to do it. Mm. And they too would need a huge team to deliver a change. So it depends on the size of the organization. Usually large organizations would generally tend to have larger projects, and the complexity would be higher than it would be in startups. Startups, a small company, let's say they've got 100 people, they're not going to have many systems. They've only got 100 people. It's very easy to communicate with 100 people and convince them that you're doing something and they should take part. But when you have 50,000 people and 5,000 different systems, then it's hard. Then it's difficult. Yeah.
So I was wondering, because, of course, a company is going to hire management consultant because they are an expert in whatever they're doing and they can do it better than the company itself, of course, right?
Yes.
So how specialized is the work of a management consultant? And would you say that it starts off as you begin your career more specialized and then you gain insights and it becomes more general? Or is it the other way around? You start more general and then you specialize?
It depends on you how you want to keep your career. A lot of people nowadays suggest you to specialize because there's money in specialization. And then once you become a specialist, you also become well known, which means the person would then say, well, I want Emma. She knows how to do this particular bit. Nobody else in our country or in our city does it better than her. Just get her in because we know the project will be a success. And also Emma does this all the time with different clients. So she knows what the pitfalls would be before you'd even get there. So you could probably do it with your eyes closed. So a lot of people like to specialize. The only trouble with specialization is unless you become an expert in one little thing or one system or one application, that system application isn't going to be there forever. It'll be replaced. So then you better keep up with the new technology. I keep mentioning the word technology because for the last 10 years, technology's taken a really big weighting on companies and the kind of work that we do. But you don't have to be a tech specialist, or you could be a mergers and acquisition specialist, in which case mergers and acquisitions will be around for a long time to come. So you're not specialist in technology, but you're a specialist in a particular business area or a process, which is fine because then, but you still need to keep up with things, but you just don't need to be as concerned about being outdated.
One last thing, I was wondering, many of our peers in our university, but in general, students who are graduating in business are likely to end up in consulting at some point of their career, especially at the beginning, say. But I get the perception that many people just use it as a start to then go on to different careers. So what are the career prospects of a management consultant?
Your the world is open to you. The world opens up, and rightly so. If you could be a management consultant, you could be anything in the world. And I say that with pride because not everybody can become a management consultant. It's not an easy job. You can't get in, first of all, that easily. And the reason being is because they're not just looking for a degree. They're looking for a mindset. Mindset is something you can't buy in a university. You can't go on a training. You either have it or you don't. And so what do I mean by mindset, right? I'm using all these big words. Mindset is the way you are, the kind of person you are. So let me give you an example. If I give you instructions right now, are you going to listen and understand all the instructions? Are you going to take notes right now? And then are you going to ask me questions that you don't understand something, that I should cover up that gap? Or are you just going to sit there and nod yes to everything? And then 2 weeks later, when you're supposed to deliver something, not deliver it. And then say, oh, I didn't realize, for example, that I had to do this, A, B, C. So taking ownership. But that's not the whole part. They also look at creativity. If I throw you in the deep end, I say, you're going on client site tomorrow. You don't know what the client does. You don't know the industry. You probably know your work a little bit, but you don't know your next steps. Now, are you going to panic, or are you going to say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to make sure nobody understands that I don't know it. I'm going to sit there with confidence and just intercept information, figure it out, not necessarily independently, because if you're in a consultancy, you'll have access to lots of managers. They'll help you. But have you got that confidence to just sit there and go, yeah, I don't understand what's going on, but I'll make sure I'm taking notes and I'll figure it out. When you start in your career, you're not going to know what to do. Let's be honest. You're not experienced. The people who've been there for 10 years, 15 years, they would know what to do, but you wouldn't. But you should have the bare minimum of, no, I'm serious about this work. I will take ownership of my work. There are lots of things I'm not going to understand, but I will keep a very good emotional balance, especially when it comes to dealing with stakeholders. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. You need to know how to talk to people, how to communicate with them. And it's not just, hello, hey, how are you? Everybody could do that. It's, asking questions. What's your mannerism in meetings? What social etiquettes do you carry? And this is what I mean. Social etiquettes isn't something that's taught at university. You learn in your family. If you're lucky, your family will educate you consciously. You pick up these skills from people around you, your friends, your social circle. Now, if you're fortunate to have a good intellectual social circle, you would be picking up these skills without knowing. But not everybody has access to an amazing social circle. So a lot of people become awake at a certain age, usually around college, uni time, and say, I can see lots of different people at uni who are higher than me in terms of the way they speak, the way they talk, the way they walk, which is nothing to do with academics. So then they think, right, I'm going to make sure I learn that too. And then they will consciously work on it. And it's something not easy to work on. But if you're working on it, then by the time you hit work, as in by the time you graduate and start working, you'd kind of know how to fit in. So any given company isn't looking for just a first-class grad. They're looking for personality, the kind of person you are. And if you make it into a management consultancy, your learning curve would be incredibly steep. You're going to be, it'll be, like I don't know how to say it, but usually if you go work for a normal company, it's this. But in a consultancy, it'll be this. So you're constantly going to be learning new things, absorbing new knowledge. And that's what's going to transform you as a person. You're going to be learning hard skills, soft skills. And once you've been there for a while, you'd know pretty much how stuff works, how businesses work, how the economy works, how people work. And then every company wants you because you've been there, you've done that with multiple clients. Because in a consultancy, another reason you learn so fast is because you change clients all the time. 6 months with this client, a year with that client, 2 years there. You would have learned in 5 years what people take 20 years to learn. Who wouldn't want you? And then you would have proven that you can go work for different clients, different industries, different people, and you survive. You're a survivor. And now, if you end up in a company, you're going to know exactly what to do. You're going to fly through, and you're a problem solver. So yes, the demand is incredibly high. You just say the word that you are now open to work outside of consultancy, and it's not difficult getting a job. Which is why it makes sense to become a management consultant first. But it is hard. It's not easy. It is hard. And you need to be a certain kind of person to get in. But if you're consciously working on yourself, besides academics, you're consciously working on you as a person, there's no reason why you wouldn't make it there. Okay. Anything else?
Amazing. No, I think I'm good. Thank you so much for your insights.
Okay, super. We shall end it here.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.